Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Ovrsn titled Cold. And if we switch over to here, I assume that's what Ovrsn means. It could not, but that's my best guess. The track we're going to be listening to is Cold. We've got the YouTube video on here. We're going to listen through his track from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. And apparently it is mixed by Brandon, so let's go.
It is a 601 production.
I mean, just like the guitar riff with the vocals swirling around, it's just really interesting with sound design immediately, as well as really pretty with the melodies.
The streets for hours, all the time they roll. Just like we live, it's cold. We don't give out flowers. I'm a thing they roll. Did a nice turn red on the streets for blushing. Always up
Interesting use of panning automation there.
Aye, in the streets for hours, all those hearts they froze. See this life we live is cold. We don't give out flowers. I'm a team they rose. See the nights turn red on the streets we're blushing. Always up to something, trying to make it out with nothing. Aye, look, see I knew my character right from the start, and I've always played my part. I seen that light when I'm stuck in the dark. I'ma leave my mark like a passionate hickey. Play my cards right, setting it got like Ricky. Had to hold it down, I'm staying my path and see who's really with me. Look, see, they don't understand this life we live. How can I lose? When I started out with nothing, I was deep in the streets, I've been through and seen it. Oh, now I'm at a point where it just can't faze me. They say they're letting off shots, but the bullets ain't graze me. I was heading down that path, on that road, then I done a 180. I told them sit down, cause I hear that side they just can't stand me. I got folks that look up to me like a hero, but I ain't no Stanley. I promise they're gonna remember me for me. Aye, I promise they're gonna remember me for me. I'ma work hard and leave a legacy. It's nothing but love and loyalty. I pray from the bottom of my heart that all my bros succeed. They ain't no jealousy. Anytime we mention handout, when we pass that Hennessy. In the streets for hours, all those hearts they froze. See this life we live is cold. We don't give out flowers, but my team they rose. See the nights turn red on the streets we're blushing. Always up to something, trying to make it out with nothing. Aye, look, money stays on my mind so I just can't lose. I can change my ways just to get them views. Love it or hate it, I'm destined to be on top. I don't know who's on side, so I gotta look both ways when I cross that line. I can see in the eyes, they just wanna run up and take my life. Aye, I can see in the eyes, they just wanna run up and take my life. Aye, I was never out loading clips, but I was deaf out throwing fists. 14 years old, blacked out with a jacket too big to fit. Those long cold nights, I done my bits. Didn't grip no guns or shivs, it's strictly fists. But as soon as I sense my death, I'll flick my wrist. Yelling out fuck that side, beefing like Bloods and Crips. Putting that work, we done our shifts. I ain't no island boy, but I'm deaf trying to make it. No matter how low I get, I just can't lie and fake it. Gotta spill the truth, can't lie to our youth. Gotta keep it real when I spit in this booth.
Okay, that's it Ovrsn with Cold. Okay, I think I kind of get what it's about. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Ovrsn titled Cold. Now, what I think this track is about, I think it's about someone who's just gone through a whole lot of shit and they're trying to make it their way in their career, and they're talking about difficulties they've had, like where they grew up and like in the streets and stuff like that, and then like how things just don't faze them anymore. They feel cold. Their main sort of movement, their direction is forward, you know, but I suppose they've become cold. They feel cold to it, like numb to it. You know, this doesn't faze them anymore. That's the kind of main sort of message I got from this. I think the vocal performance is handled well. You get someone who's sort of quite matter of fact with the way that they communicate. The flow with the changes and rhythms and stuff like that is clean. We have someone who sounds like they're sort of dead serious about what they're trying to communicate. There's a no sort of BS approach to it, which I kind of enjoy. And in addition to that, it's just simply the fact that even though there's like a consistency to the motif behind it, you know, like there's like that same bass line and chord progression for quite a lot of it, with variations in the instrumental layers. The fact that we have that sort of diversity rhythmically alongside the kind of catchy beat and stuff makes this interesting to listen to throughout the whole 2 minutes 38. The track itself is within that 2-4 minute sweet spot, so it's not too long, not too short. There's enough with content within the verses to help you sort of understand and flesh out the story, and then there's enough within like some of the more repeated sort of sections there, the hooks, to be able to sort of get that cemented into your head and kind of sort of be able to sit with that and get it. the instruments within this, you know, the guitar riff that we had at the start off the bat was really sort of wonderful. That I wouldn't necessarily say like a lo-fi aesthetic, but you could definitely go for that. It was really sweet and pretty with those arpeggiated notes and the triads that they were invoking there. There was a sadness to it. Like the numbness was not something that we were particularly welcoming, even though we had to sort of like deal with it regardless. It was some that motif was continued throughout the track, which kind of potentially infers that mood is something that carries, you know, right until the end. The beat behind it, the drums there, the samples sounded great, nice and clear with a sense of presence within the mix. They were nicely polished. There was dynamic range in the sense that we didn't have the drums sometimes, so things came down naturally because of that, but when the drums re-entered, they didn't sort of poke at the listener or overdo things at all. It was nicely balanced. The bass that was there, the 808s, they were nice and clean on the low end. They had a bit of grit to them, but not too much, and they were relatively smooth and niched well into the frequency spectrum and to mix and arrangement itself. And we also had some vocal chops which were going around the headphones and kind of mixing back and forth, and it was really well handled. Like I enjoy the fact that we had sort of like melodies on the sides there that were surrounding the stereo field there that didn't interfere too much. They didn't interfere too much with like the main vocals or the other instrumental parts there. They formed an extra little bit of sort of resonance in the mid to higher levels, and ultimately fleshed out the frequency spectrum really well. The motif, again, it was continued throughout with a similar bass line chord progression, with a focus on minors there, with a sadness there, with some of the note choices and stuff like that. But overall, I still think it was interesting to listen to. It kind of reflects the emotion and the mood of the performer within the track, and I don't think there was a note out of place. The studio production, recording, mixing, and mastering was tight as well. I've got no complaints about how the vocals were handled. There was sort of the main parts, and then there was sort of double tracking on the sides there to illustrate and sort of highlight key parts of the phrases there on the lines, which was good. It was interesting to have the vocals swirling around at the start before we got into the main beat there. That was kind of cool. It was kind of like the thoughts swirling around inside your head, and it didn't interfere too much with the higher range chops as well, because they were niched differently in different parts of, again, the frequency spectrum between the lows and highs, so that was solid. The drums and bass were sidechained neatly. The music surrounded you in the stereo field, and not only with the automation but just in general with the guitarists and stuff like that. There were no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum, and it was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. I mean, effectively, this is my review of this track from an act named Ovrsn titled Cold, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via the various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.